everyone, my name is Sam and thanks for checking out this video. Make sure to hit the subscribe button down below and give the video a thumbs up. Now, I didn't realize until I was trying to get my things together on how many books I own more than one copy of. I am including multiple formats in this decision, so I mean there are a good chunk of books where I listen to the audiobook and follow along with the physical book, and sometimes our library just doesn't get the audiobook fast enough, so I buy it. That's what Audible is for, right? Mind you, I have zero defense on some of these because there's more than just 2 copies of them, so... So first up is my Elise Kova collection. I have every single Elise Kova book that she has published, and I own all of the audiobooks that she currently has out, but she doesn't have audiobooks out for all of them. But I do have all 3 of the Loom Saga series in physical copy and audiobook. The Air Awakens prequel trilogy, I have all 3 of them in physical copy and audiobook. And Air Awakens, book 1 of the Air Awakens series, I have the first one on audiobook, and the rest of them don't have audiobooks yet, but whenever they do get them, I'll buy them. I own 2 copies of Batman Nightwalker by Marie Lu. I have the hard copy as well as an audiobook copy. I can feel my mother judging me for the money spent on this series here, but whatever. So for Outlander, I think I own 4 copies. I have the anniversary edition, the one with the characters from the TV show on it, a hardcover, and the audiobook. I think that's all of them? Yeah. Dragonfly and Ember, number 2 in this series. I own the anniversary edition, the TV series cover, a hardcover, and the audiobook. Voyager, the 3rd book, I have the hardcover and the TV cover, and then the audiobook, and then the rest of them I just have the hardcover and the audiobook. Just. But I mean, they don't have anniversary editions or TV covers out yet, so just, you give me time. I own 2 copies of The Dire King, book 4 of the Jacoby series. I have the hardcover and I have an audiobook as well. I own 2 copies of each book in the Bone Season that is out. We have book 1, the Bone Season, book 2, the Mime Order, and book 3, Song Rising. I own all of them in physical format and audiobook. I own the physical copies of Codename Verity and The Pearl Thief by Elizabeth Wine. I also own the audiobooks for both of these. I now own the physical copy of Spellslinger by Sebastian de Castell, and I also own the audiobook for it. I have the sequel and hardcover as well, and I think my next Audible credit is going to go to buying the audiobook too, because it's a Canadian author and I want to support. I own 2 copies of Scythe by Niall Schusterman. I have the physical copy, and then I picked up the audiobook when it was a daily deal, late 2017. I own the physical copy and audiobook for The Last Samsara by Kristen Cicerelli. Once again, she's a Canadian author, so I just feel like I'm giving Canadians money, because I'm sure that's how that works, but nonetheless. I own 2 copies of Invictus by Ryan Grodin, a physical copy, and once again, the audiobook. I own a physical copy and audiobook copy of Spellbook of the Lost and Found. I originally just owned the audiobook, but I loved the book so much that when I finally saw the book in stores, I just couldn't not buy it. It's a really pretty cover, too. Really no surprise, and I feel like this is just a staple of everyone in the BookTube YA community. I own a physical copy and the audiobook copy of all of Sarah J. Maas, so all of ACOTAR that is currently out, I own, and all of Throne of Glass series that is out, I own. I have a paperback copy of A Darker Shade of Magic by V.E. Schwab, and I also have the audiobook. I very happily own 2 copies of Daughter of the Pirate King by Tricia Levenseller, the physical and the audio. I own 2 copies of The Arsonist by Stephanie Oakes, and once again, look at the cover. It's just so pretty. I wasn't even really tempted to read it until I saw the cover in store and just decided to buy it, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna buy it. And then I bought the audiobook because I liked it. I own at least 2 copies of all of Leigh Bardugo's work, but I have extra copies of A Shadow and Bone, the Grisha trilogy. I have the old covers, I have the new covers, and then I have the audiobook. For Six of Crows, I own the physical copies and the audiobooks. For Language of Thorns, I own the physical and the audio. And for Wonder Woman, I own the physical and the audio. I own 2 copies of Nevernight by Jay Kristoff, the physical and the audio. I have God's Grave physical copy, and I plan on picking up the audio so that I can read it again before the 3rd book comes out. I own 2 copies of The Paper Princess and Broken Prince, physical and audio. I own 2 copies of The Black Witch by Laurie Forrest. I have the physical and an audio. I also won a contest, though, on Laurie Forrest's Twitter, so I'm getting another copy of Black Witch sent to me. I own 2 copies of A Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue by Mackenzie Lee. I own the Owl Crit exclusive cover, and I have the audiobook as well. I own 2 copies of The Best Kind of Magic by Crystal Sestari. This is the first book in the Windy City series. I have the physical and the audio. I own 2 copies of Rune by Amy Tintera, a physical and an audio, as well as the sequel Avenged, a physical and an audio. And you had better bet that the third book, Allied, is going to have the same system set up for me. I'm getting the physical and I'm getting the audio. I've already pre-ordered both of them, I think, actually, so yeah. I own physical and audiobook copies of The Queen of Blood by Sarah Beth Durst and the sequel, The Reluctant Queen. I also just got approved for the art for the third book, The Queen of Sorrows, and if it's anything as good as these, I will probably do the same thing and buy the audio with it because I love this series. I own a physical and an audiobook copy of Royal Bastards by Andrew Schwartz, and I'm so excited for City of Bastards to come out. I own 2 copies of History's All That You Left Me by Adam Silvera. I have a physical copy, and I have a physical audiobook copy as well. I picked it up for free at a conference. I also own 2 copies of Do Not Say We Have Nothing by Madeline Thine. If you've never heard of this because you're American, it's a massive book in Canada. I got bumped by all the book awards that we have in Canada and CBC and all that stuff. But I have a physical copy that I got off Book Outlet, and then I once again picked up a free copy of an audiobook at a conference that I went to. I should really get on it, but it's a massive book, so I just kind of am intimidated by it. I own 2 copies of Traitor's Kiss by Erin Beatty, a physical and an audiobook. I own a physical and an audiobook copy of Spindlefire by Alexa Hillier, and I'll probably do it for Winter Glass, which is the sequel that's coming out this year. I oddly enough own 2 copies of The Crown's Fate, but not The Crown's Game. This is the sequel to The Crown's Game. I own a physical and an audiobook copy. I own a physical and audiobook copy of A Tyranny of Petticoats anthology put together by Jessica Spotswood. I own a physical and audiobook copy of The Darkest Minds by Alexandra Bracken. I really need to get the rest of this series. I want to get the hardcovers, but I know they just did a cover change, so now I'm terrified that I'm going to get the wrong ones. I own a physical and audiobook copy of My Lady Jane by Cynthia Hand, Brodie Ashton, and Jodie Meadows. And if there was another way for me to actually own some other edition of this copy, I would. I just love this book series. I could never own enough copies of this series. I actually own 3 copies of Ready Player One by Ernest Cline. I have a hardcover, I have a paperback, and I have an audiobook. And I haven't seen it actually yet in stores, but I'm sure there is going to be one with the movie cover on it, and I will definitely pick that one up. It's just one of the best books I've ever read. It's amazing. I own 3 copies of each book in a Prisoner of Night and Fog duology. I have the US cover, I have the UK cover, I have the audiobook. Identically, A Conspiracy of Blood and Smoke. The sequel, I have the US, the UK, and the audiobook copy. I own 2 copies of The Girl from Everywhere by Heidi Heelig, as well as its sequel, The Ship Beyond Time. I have the physical and the audiobook. I own 2 copies of The Afterlife of Holly Chase by Cynthia Hand. I have a physical and an audiobook. I mean, if you look at the cover, you could probably tell why, but just because it's a Christmas carol, I felt like I needed to have one that I could listen to. It's just, that's what you do at Christmas. You listen to stories. I mean, I can't really pick them all up, but all of the Shadowhunter series that are out, including Infernal Devices and the books that are out in Dark Artifices, and all the companions, I own physical copies of them all and audiobooks for them all. I own, I think, 4 copies of The Book Thief. I have the original paperback cover with the dominoes. This is the US edition that got released here. I also picked up a copy with the movie poster kind of thing on it. I was also gifted the anniversary edition of it. I also own the audiobook, and I have been looking everywhere for the version that has I think it's the UK original paperback with death, the stick figure of death dancing with little easel. Oh, I want it so bad, but I can't find it anywhere. And the last books that fall into this category is Harry Potter. Now, I've gotten excessive on this. I own 10 copies of Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, 1 of each of the house editions in paperback, 1 of them each in hardcover, the illustrated edition, and just a regular paperback. I also own the illustrated edition and a regular paperback edition of Harry Potter and the Chamber Secret and Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. And then I own 3 copies of Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, the screenplay, the original textbook bound up box set, and then the flimsy paperbacky one for that supported comic relief. So yeah, I think I'm going to try and get a hold on that so I don't buy as many the next year, but I don't know, we'll see. I plan on buying at least 1, if not 2 at the bare minimum, of the house editions every time they come out, 1 for each house, but not 8 of them. We'll see. Make sure to check the description box down below for links to all of my social media. If you follow me, I will follow you back. And let me know in the comment section down below if you are as bad as me or am I alone in this whole buying multiple copies of books.